Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Welcome and thank you. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this one is about Sasquatch. You know that I'm German, and we don't have very many news about sightings of Sasquatch here in Germany. Of course, we don't have the extended forests like in the USA and some other regions of the world. And I wasn't sure about Sasquatch. I had the word on my mind and I've heard about that, but didn't touch me really, not really. And then it happened to me that I watched a video with a guy who was interviewed about Sasquatch. His name was Sunbow True Brother, and I think he was on Danny Henderson's podcast. And he was showing pictures of the structures that Sasquatch is building with woods and kind of glyphs he's building and laying on the ground or constructing around trees, and even some photographs where you could see a half manifested kind of misty face or tall figure of a Sasquatch in front of the forest. And what the man told really touched me deeply. And he was talking about that he had real contact, not only astrally, but also physically, with Sasquatch or Bigfoot, however you want to call that being. And he was even mentioning the name of the clan member of Sasquatch he was in contact with. And I followed that and was very interesting. And I started thinking, so whenever you put an intent somewhere and have a question and want to know something, then you're more or less attracting the answer or more information about that. So I went to bed at night, and again in my stream of consciousness, suddenly in front of my inner eye, shortly before falling asleep, the face of a Sasquatch appeared in front of me. And I was not scared because I already had heard about him in that interview of the man called Sunbow True Brother. And he has genetic heritage from Native Americans, so that makes sense to me because the natives, they still know about Sasquatch. And that makes sense to me because in his DNA there's this inherited knowledge and also kind of the openness to have contact. And when I saw the Sasquatch face, I was really astonished because it looked kind of kind of human, and another part more like really a big ape. But the human trait and the intelligence in the eyes were undeniable. And he had brown eyes, and he looked at me with so much compassion and love that I started crying, lying there in my bed, and I cried. The whole sheet was kind of wet because that was a love I've never felt before, and it was so embracing. And I learned a lot from that because some kind of information was given to me with this encounter. And even later on, my guides from above upstairs, they made me research Sasquatch, and then I suddenly found that in the medieval depictions here in Germany, you find some pictures about wild man. That's how they called it here in Europe. A big, hairy ape or human like creature that's living in the deep forest. And then I changed my belief about Sasquatch. Maybe he was here in Germany as well. And what I learned from Sasquatch is to me at least, very important because that Sasquatch I encountered more or less told me that they are the real humanoids that developed on Earth and also on some other planets, on Mars as well, if I remember it right, what he told me. That's the natural humanoid form that developed by the DNA that was already on Earth. And so he's kind of the original human, let's say, and we are the aliens because then other beings came in from space and tinkered with our DNA. So that's why we are the hairless ape. And that's kind of funny as well because before the ice age, to lose your fur that keeps you warm and then suddenly being tinkered with your DNA and then you're hairless and you have to take on the fur of animals to keep yourself warm. That's kind of crazy. But he told me it is like that. And it makes a lot of sense to me because I also read in Dolores Cannon's book, the founder of QHHT, hypnosis therapy, that she had some clients who went back under hypnosis into their extraterrestrial former lives or incarnations. And she had this one man who was with kind of gray looking beings on a ship, and they beamed him up after an incarnation as a Sasquatch to their spaceship, and all the comrades and colleagues on the ship, the members of the crew, kind of teased him and were joking about him because he had been a hairy one. That's so funny that he was even teased by his own people about that. And there are also a lot of news or talkings about that Sasquatch is very often seen close to spaceships or close to something like that. So these two phenomena, seeing a UFO and Sasquatch together or close together, isn't that crazy. So it happens quite often, and there is a link and a connection. And the most funny thing that happened to me was, of course, I already told you I love Star Trek. I watched the movie Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, and everything. And they were just repeating exactly at the time when I had my encounter before sleep with Sasquatch. They repeated in TV the Star Wars films. And I had seen that and I liked it and so on. It's kind of a fantasy fairy tale happening in space. And before I was a medium, I thought it's a fantasy story, a sci-fi fantasy movie. And after my mediumship and after the encounter with Sasquatch, I watched it again in TV and I saw the Wookiee, and it was so obvious to me that this is Sasquatch. And I couldn't really understand why I did not see it like that before when I watched it years and years ago. But it is like that, people. Knowledge changes your perception. If you see something and you don't know anything about it, then you're kind of pure in your perception, but it's going through our filters. And even the angels told me once when I asked them about their wings, because I also perceived them with kind of wings coming up behind their back. And they told me, we don't really have wings. It's just that the medieval painters perceived us with wings. We also have, like every living being, the energetic form of kind of a torus with this column in the middle, and the magnetic and electric forces is going like in a donut shape from out from above and from below. and you're getting energy from the sky and from the earth, and it's going around in your Taurus field. So if this is the column and the Taurus field starts here, so this kind of upgoing and making a bow like some kind of wing, you could perceive it like that. They said it's their energy, it was their energy that the first people perceived, and then they started to depict angels with wings. They said, we don't really have wings. We can create every form we want and appear in every form that we like to. But we prefer to appear to you in the form you know and that would the least scare you, because our real appearance is quite different. So, okay, I looked up the very old depictions of angels, and I saw all this kind of weird depictions with wheels in wheels and wings full of eyes and things like that, and some even with a fire in the middle. So I'm really thankful that they come in the form we can accept most and that does not scare us, so that they can really work with us and help us if we ask for help. And another funny thing I once saw in another video I watched, and I would like to add it here because it makes sense to the whole theme. Um, I watched a video from some kind of UFO conference where a couple went to the microphone to tell their story. And the story was like that. They had their dog being very sick, and they were both worried because they loved this dog so much, and they tried everything they could. They've been to the doctor with the dog, and well, he tried his best, but he wasn't sure whether the dog would make it through the night or not. So they went home with their dog and left it in the kitchen in the dog bed. And the man went up and was on the internet looking up something or whatever. And the woman, she was very Catholic, and she went to her room and started praying for healing energy for the dog. And she prayed and prayed and prayed, and suddenly she had the feeling, I have to go and look for the dog. So she stopped praying, left the room, and she met her husband on the stair, and they were both kind of nudged to go and have a look at the dog. And when they came down the stair from the second floor of their house to the downstairs below kitchen area where the dog was, the woman saw kind of the blue appearance of Archangel Michael. And the man, the ufologist, quite more of the nuts and bolts and rational scientist type of man, he saw just a blue light, you know. And that's so interesting to me because it shows our filters working. If you're kind of religiously orientated, so you might perceive the blue light as Archangel Michael. And he's also doing healing as well. It's not only Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Michael is connected with the blue light. And so the ufologist only saw a blue light. And I wonder if maybe other people with other kind of cultural backgrounds, like maybe a Native American or a Native South American Indio, maybe they only see a blue blob or whatever, you know. Our perception is kind of contaminated with our beliefs and what we are told. So my mediumship trainment is a lot about getting to the real cause, or to the ground, to the base information, and like in remote viewing, get rid of all the false beliefs and how we perceive things to get to the real thing. So, this was my little story about Sasquatch and some other things. And I'd like to leave you with that. And I hope you have a wonderful time. Wish you all the best. Blessings, love, and light. Thank you, dear souls, for watching. Goodbye.